Countyfairgrounds, and Cool K here. I have the one and only Jason-Gardner, the escape artist, on the line with me.
Hello, this is
Hi, Mr. Jason. How you doing?
fantastic. Are we already online? Is this how it works?
Yep, we're online.
Fantastic. I love that. That's great.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, great. Here we are.
So one of the first questions I'm going to ask you is an obvious one. How in heaven's name did you get to be an escape artist?
Well, I think like a lot of us in the performance business, we didn't choose it. It chose us, and I had no choice. I had no choice. That's really what it amounts to. I've always been into magic and entertaining and performing, and escapology was really appealing to me, being a minimalist as far as a performer. I used to do a lot of magic. I still do. I still perform magic. But as far as a magic show goes, for me, it required a lot more moving parts. And when I do my escape, for example, there's less moving parts. It's one big thing that I do. So as a minimalist, I like the simplicity of the large stunt versus the many effects that a magician might do in a set.
So are you a married guy?
I am not. I'm a single guy.
Okay. Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 53 years old.
And how long have you? Well, how did you get into magic? Have you ever done anything else?
No.
Okay.
I mean, yes. I went to school for music, so I went to Berklee College of Music. So
that's cool.
There was a time that I was playing drums full time and touring, but I would often be doing magic off stage, even on tour, and then booking gigs alongside my music tours, doing magic gigs at colleges and stuff like that. So I've always been performing. That's the only job I've ever had, and yeah. So yeah.
Well, I've interviewed a lot of magicians on this show, and I'm also well aware that a lot of their acts include like escape things. But the kind of escape thing that you do, I watched that one video that's on YouTube of yours from Massachusetts. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if I were to, right now, what I do is it's a 37-minute show approximately, and it's perfect for outdoor venues, corporate events, and festivals and fairs. It's kind of like a one-trick pony, even though I do a little bit of magic in the show, a little bit of build-up and stuff like that. But it is a kind of one-trick pony, and it travels well because it is quite simple, doesn't require a lot of staging or anything like that. I kind of bring that all with myself. So it's easy to pack up and move somewhere else. So that's the thing that I've been, doing the most right now is that one show. And it is, it's the upside down escape that you saw, right?
Right. From Massachusetts, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I work at Faneuil Hall Marketplace. That's an outdoor marketplace, and I'm part of the street performing program there. And I've been doing my escape there, my show there for over 20 years.
Wow, that's a long time, Jason. So where else have you performed? I mean, how did you? Are you originally from Massachusetts?
I grew up in New York, and I came to Boston when I was about 19 years old. I went to Berklee College of Music and ended up staying in Boston. I lived right outside New York City, but when I got to Boston, I really found it easy to make a living here, easy to create community. And then, of course, when I found Faneuil Hall, started working there, that was, it's a great place to live nearby.
So where else have you ever performed other places in the country?
Sure, yeah, in the country and the world. I mean, all over the country. A lot of private gigs, a lot of colleges, So I mean, everywhere. But the more exciting stuff is when I do the stuff abroad. And two came to mind. I just did a gig in Kuwait.
Oh.
And that's something I've never done. I know there's a circuit of performers and booking agents that work with these high-end malls in the Middle East.
Wow.
And they're quite incredible. And I was hired for 2 weeks. I did, I think, 35 shows in 2 weeks I was contracted for. And this is not, I wasn't being tipped. It wasn't like a paid by the crowd thing, like street performing. This is a paid contract by a company and by the mall that hires the company to hire us. And I went there and did that. And that was just completely different culture. Really different, I have to say. I've been to London. I've been to Canada, obviously, and I've been to other English-speaking places, very similar almost. Even Australia, I lived there for a little while. Even that felt kind of Western. But this did not. This Kuwait, and I also was in Singapore, another gig I did. And again, very different, and I really enjoy those gigs. I really enjoy those.
Okay. So where have you been in the United States, kind of?
Well, I do a lot of private gigs. So as far as, let's see, I can mention I got stuck on the West Coast. I was headed to Australia. I had some visa issues. This was a number of years ago. So then I found out from my apartment in Boston that it burned down. There was a huge loss. There was a fire. So I literally had no place to go back to, and so I stayed in California, Venice Beach, and I ended up getting an apartment there for about 3 to 4 months, which felt like a lifetime, really, and worked on the beach of Venice Beach, which is just a real scene. Have you ever been out there?
Oh, I've been around California, yeah.
But Venice is, the street scene in Venice is quite interesting and can actually get quite dangerous at night, if you know that.
Yeah.
It's on that beach. On that beach, it's kind of like you don't really head out on that beach alone at night, I don't think. But during the day, there's quite the scene. And it was, once again, interesting to create community and to meet local performers, like a guy named Huba Huba, who was an old-timer. I don't know how old he was, but he used to jump on glass. He used to crumple up glass and then walk over glass. Oh. But it was this big carny kind of like show. He'd do a show for like 6 people. I mean, it was, and he was always like, in fact, is this show, what's the rating of this show?
I don't know. I know nobody ever asked you that before.
Like, all right, well, I don't know what stories I can tell or not. That's all. I was curious.
Oh, well, I edit all my podcasts, and I've been talking to entertainers, doing interviews since 2010. And yes, I am familiar with California. There's some weird things on the beach.
Yeah, no, but just as a story of me listening to Huba Huba, and one time people were walking away, and when they were walking away, he said they were walking away without paying him. And and he said to them, do you want to wear a condom with that? and I didn't understand what that meant. But do you understand what he means?
Kinda, yeah.
Because they're fucking him.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's the edit if you want. But yeah, so but interesting people all over the world. Oh my God, it's so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, once you go to set that escape thing up like you did in Massachusetts, how long does your show usually last?
So yeah, as I mentioned, this show that I'm doing that I talked about, that I do at Faneuil Hall, is 37 minutes. That's the one that I potentially do. I modify it depending on the venue, but 37-minute show is generally where I gather the audience, and then we do some magic, and I get tied up by the audience in a straitjacket and 75 feet of rope, and then I'm hoisted up by the audience about 20 feet in the air. That's the tripod you're talking about. And then I do a full view escape. So it's escape, and it's all to music. I have it all timed out. There's music cues and stuff like that. So it's pretty professional and pretty cool. And yet it's on the street. So it's like, it feels very impromptu. and yet there's music when the volunteers come in and out, and I have it all set up with pedal boards because I can't use my hands because I'm in a straitjacket. So I've got a pedal board to trigger the music, and it's complicated behind the scenes, but very minimalistic in its look, right? It's a guy getting tied up. It's very simple. I'm a likable guy getting tied up, having fun with my volunteers, creating community, and then doing this escape. And, that's it. I'm not the tough guy escape guy, Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you a story. I was called years ago by Fox News to be a consultant. And I'm like, I don't know how you got my number, but Fox News, he said, we have an escape artist who's about to do an escape. Now check this out. This is amazing. This guy was going to be locked up in a coffin, so handcuffed and chained inside of a coffin. The coffin is then chained up, and then he's going to be pushed out of an airplane.
No
okay?
Thanks.
Right,
Yeah.
and me too. No thanks. I was really. But they wanted an escape artist to be a consultant, a live consultant, to talk about it as it was happening. I was like, oh, that's great. Like, I would love to do that, right? So but I asked them about how they found me, and they said, we spoke to a bunch of escape artists, and every one of them had an attitude. And they were all like, I could do that. Why don't you have me do it? And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, you're like the fourth guy we spoke to. The other three were like kind of assholes. And I was like, wow. And actually, it does kind of go the territory. It is kind of a macho thing, right? It's a bravado thing. Yeah, but I'm not that kind of guy. So I think that, and also there's comedy in the show, and it is a very delicate balance, which I've tried to strive for, of comedy, and yet I'm really doing a real stunt. I'm actually risking my life for real. So and yet I want to have fun with the audience, right? There's a balance.
Hey, Jason.
Yes.
As you're rambling on, one of the thoughts that come to my mind is, have you had any bad experiences in front of the public doing this? Yeah,
I have. And do I call you Cool K?
Yeah, everybody does.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I haven't used your name yet. Cool K. I wasn't sure. Yes. Yeah, Cool K. I have. I have been stuck upside down a few times, but that's been the worst of it. In other words, getting stuck upside down is I'm not that high off the ground, right? I mean, I'm 20 feet. My head's like 10, 12 feet in the air. I'm not that inaccessible. So that's the reality. You got to ask yourself in life about fear, about what's the worst that can happen. And so in reality, there's very little possible for me to be dropped on my head, like that possibility, like for stuff to become undone from my ankles. That there's almost no possibility for that. But there's a possibility of me getting stuck there, hanging there, right? And I have it set up. So the only way for me to get down is for me to get out and then upright myself, like do a little gymnastics, climb back up myself, to then let myself down via like a lever. So the lever is above my feet. If you understand me hanging upside down, the lever is above my feet. If you can everyone picture that. The reason I do that is because I'm on the street and I can't have any volunteers. I can't leave like me hanging upside down up to a stranger holding a rope, right? They call that block and tackle. In other words, I can't have someone holding a rope, holding me like that, holding it. Because what if they let go and I drop on my head? Yeah. So this is a situation where every pull they make, it locks, right?
Okay.
So there is two things going on. I got to get out, and I also have to upright myself and get myself back down. So when I get stuck, the real problem is getting back down. Okay, it's not like I'm going to die from being like something else, right? So I've learned, and it's happened. The first time it happened, I was upside down for a long time because I didn't know what to do, and I kept struggling. Finally, someone came up and actually gave me the idea, believe it or not. And they said, we'll tip the whole thing over. And we got the people all together, and some people like kind of got ready for me. And it doesn't come down fast when you tip a big thing like that over. It doesn't come down fast. If it's a few people there, we tipped the whole thing over, and I got down and say if it was a little bit of a anticlimactic ending, but I did learn from my mistakes. I always do. And now when that's happened, and it has happened a couple more times, I kind of shift gear quicker, and I shift gears, and I kind of get the people to help me. But I do want to kind of at least give it a shot. If I feel stuck, I want to at least give it a shot. So there's a moment in my show where I have to decide, is this too much? Am I definitely stuck? Should I get someone and end this thing, or should I keep going? And there's that little moment of fear, that creeps in. I can't lie on that. That's real. I mean, that just freaks me out. When I get stuck, you can hear me actually mutter. I'm speaking to myself, hanging upside down. You can hear me mutter like, "Oh my God," like, "Oh no," like you can hear me like muttering to myself, like, "Oh God, I don't like this," but I deal with it and I get out. It's just not a good feeling.
Okay. Have you ever? Do you teach people or kids?
I coach. So the other way
Right.
I make a living is I coach. I coach performers. So I
that's
coach
cool.
everybody, but I coach creative, highly functioning creative types, and mostly performers. And I'm usually mentoring at least one person at a time, especially during the season. I look for a mentor. In fact, I just put an ad out through my communities about I work with one person a season who wants to work with me to help me with my gear. Helps me out while I'm working at Faneuil Hall in Boston, and in turn I help them with their show, whatever that show might be. But I coach people, so yeah, I mean I do that. So I give back, and I love teaching. So yeah, I love helping. I love helping performers just improve and attain their goals.
Yeah.
That's what a coach does,
That's what I do. I help performers too. Okay. All right. So is there places that you would like to perform that you have not had the opportunity?
I do want to go back to the Middle East. Now I know what to expect. Because a quick story is that, when they hire a professional, and I am a professional, done 10,000 shows. So when they hire a professional like myself, I got to Kuwait, and the first day I had 3 shows scheduled. And the first show, it's like half the stuff, if not more, in my show just didn't work. It just didn't work. Plus, there are new parameters. There's new parameters. Yeah, well, so here's the good thing, because they hire the guy that they can trust, which is me, to make it, to improve. So first show, so some of the parameters are very strict. So no women volunteers at all.
Oh.
So usually, I get a guy and a girl. It's fun, no female volunteers. They also don't understand the language, and a few other things. So, and the kids are out of control, right? Out of control. So I did my first show, and then went right back to the hotel and started rewriting. And we all did that. There was about 20 of us, or 12, 20, got 15 to 20 of us. And we all did that. We all, because we're pros, we all just were like, all right, what works, what doesn't work. Some of us had more success depending on what type of show it is, right? If you have more of a non-speaking show or more of a clowning show, you might be able to change less. But a show where I speak a lot, like, where you speak like mine, it needed to be definitely switched around. And I did. I went out and got some new props. I did some more magic. I took stuff out, and I love to be able to do that in real time, create modular, a modular show, and have the ability to do that, to change it that quickly. So to answer your question, I want to go back to the Middle East because now I know what to expect, right? So if I knew that I had gig there, like in a month, I could design a show that would be just great for that, right off the bat. That would just be fun for everybody.
Jason, there's a lot of countries in the world. Not everybody speaks English. So.
Absolutely, that's it. And it was great. I mean, it was actually great. By the second day, I was already in flow. I mean, we had it going on. I quickly understood. That's the idea. But because I don't speak Arabic.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, and it's a challenging language if you don't speak it. And the guide, the advice I got, and this is great advice for performers, is better to do like a real, like a broken English kind of show, like very little English, then rather than butcher their language. Like to try to do a show in their language and just butcher it sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? Imagine hearing someone speak English, but it's just terrible to listen to. Like you don't understand. It's not good. So better for me to use less English, but still speaking English, than try to change and do it. Because I almost was going to do a show in Arabic and learn it. And I was like, all right, I was advised not to. The other thing was that I was able to pick volunteers based on laughter. So in the first few jokes in my show, I noticed who's laughing. If they understand the jokes, they're laughing, right? They know the English. So I picked them, and they were often from other Middle Eastern countries nearby, Jordan and Egypt, you know what I mean? And they understood English and spoke it. Just happens to be Kuwait. They just don't really speak a lot of English. But it was great. It's great to learn from that. As you said, most of the world does not speak English.
So
that place, that's one place.
How long do you plan on doing this, like for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question. I don't know how much longer I want to go upside down for.
I can't blame you for that.
but it's funny. It's not really a big deal anymore for me to go upside down. It's not really anything. Really.
Do you work out?
I don't have to. I stay fit and trim. I have a good diet. I'm very aerobic. I walk and bike, and I just stay active enough and just aware of my intake and outtake, and being aerobic and not sitting around, taking walks. I like to walk. That's great for me. Is long walks.
So who does your booking?
I do my own booking right now. I'm doing all my own booking at this point.
That sounds like a little bit much, Jason.
Yeah, well, because I have 2 children.
Okay.
I am divorced.
Okay.
I've been staying in Boston for the last few years less, and working at Faneuil Hall. So I've been turning down more bookings than taking them. But now the last year I've been taking more and starting to do these gigs where I go to Kuwait and do other things like that. But last 2 years I didn't need a booking agent. I just didn't need one.
Yeah, well, you do realize that my posting this is going to get you phone calls.
Well, that's fine. Bring it on. That's it. We me and my team, I got people that help me out with, depending on what the gigs are, if we need graphics and stuff like that. We always we get ready. And I have a lot, as just not to sell, but I've got a lot to offer. It's fun, I like doing magic gigs. I like doing close-up, which is really fun. So I often get hired to do both.
How old are your kids?
8 and 11.
What do they think of their father?
It's kind of casual for them. It's no big deal for them.
No, they grew up with it, I guess. Yeah. So.
Yeah, they really did. Yeah, I think their friends are more kind of fascinated by it than they are. But I could tell they're proud, when they go to school and, kids know who their dad is. That's kind of fun. I've done some presentations as well as a school on mindfulness and, and stuff like that. So the coaching part of me, speaks to some schools. I do talk about mindfulness usually. That's usually the topic I cover.
Okay.
So
I'm presuming that kids have seen you. They've gone to your performances and they've watched you do this.
Yeah, my kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, of course. As I said, it's really no biggie. My 11-year-old still likes to come. He likes to help me set up. He likes to help me. He likes to be a part of it. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of booking, how do people reach you if they want to book you?
Yeah. So let me restart with that, because I was mentioning that earlier, and then we kind of just so real quick. As I said, just real fast. Magic and escape. I do have a new project, by the way. I do want to mention. It's kind of real cool. It's a drumming project, because I'm also a drummer. I play music, so it's a project that I'm calling for now the DJ drummer. And it's basically what I've done is I've taken all this music from the 50s to now, and I've taken out the drums, all these great songs. I removed the drum tracks from these great popular songs, and I play drums with them. Something that I just, instead of playing in a band, I just basically took out the drums from my favorite bands, and I'm playing. It's low tech for me, but I have it all kind of. I'm really good with actually sound equipment, so it actually sounds really, really professional. And I actually been doing it on the street. But I think that's actually just started pitching it to venues that are looking for cover bands and things like that, or venues that are looking for I don't know where I want to take it, and maybe people who listen to this have an idea of where the DJ drummer might be good for. That's why I'm putting it out.
Okay. Well, one of the things that you need to tell people on this podcast now, as we get ready to close here, is how people reach you, and do you have a website?
I do. So the best way to check me out is something on YouTube, believe it or not, is going to be the best source to see me and check me out. Okay, I could direct you to a website, but the YouTube channel does everything that you need it to do. It's The Successful Human on YouTube. Okay. On there's drums, magic, random stuff, coaching stuff. I'm turning it into my own network. It's going to be the Successful Human network, like a TV station with different channels. But I'm just getting there with different topics. So all my stuff is there on the YouTube channel. Okay. And I just started doing it. I've got 12,500 people, and it's just starting out, so I'm just looking to build it. But come there. To get in touch with me, jasonescape@gmail is just a great way to get in touch. So it's easily jasonescape@gmail.com, or through the YouTube channel. There's a million ways to connect with me on the YouTube channel. And that is the best way to reach me, and I hope you do. I always respond to all messages on those places.
Okay, well, I thoroughly enjoyed the podcast interview, and we'll get this up, and I hope you get some bookings.
Yeah, that was really cool. I really appreciate your time.
Sure, I've enjoyed talking to you, Jason.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.